was going to change. She said, I need to do this for the man who showed me so much love. There's nothing more valuable than this love that raised my brother from the dead, that taught me in my own house, that prepared me and changed my life forever. So if I spend an entire year's wages on something to anoint him with, what is that? That's nothing. She believed Jesus' message. Now, do you remember the disciples' response to Jesus' message that he was going to die? Surely not, Lord. Surely this won't happen. Surely not to you. You're more powerful. What they were doing was they were fending off their own fears. But not Mary. Mary believed, and she acted in a risky, extravagant way. Now, it wasn't just the perfume that made it risky. They were in Simon's house. Now, even though he had been declared to be clean from leprosy, it was still risky business. And as you could see from our text this morning, now they're out for Lazarus as well, because many had started coming to Jesus when they found out that Jesus raised Lazarus from the dead. It too was risky to be seen together, but not for Mary. Not for Simon. Mary believed. And so she says, now is the right time. And so she pours this perfume over Jesus. She anoints him, unknowingly probably, for his death. Not impulsive, not spontaneous, but planned out, measured at the right time. Was it logical? Not at all. Judas is very apt at pointing out that this was not a logical act. Now, if we added some other name other than Judas, and I read that passage again, you'd probably say, see, he's right. This doesn't make sense. This guy is more spiritual. He cares for the poor. He should have had this sold. And then we could have given this money to the poor. And Jesus says, but you'll have the poor with you always. And me for only a short time. Mary has done what is right. Immediately, Jesus springs to Mary's defense. This extravagant, risky, chance-taking love was given because Jesus had given that same love to her. Can you imagine what that house smelled like? I don't think anybody in that dinner party probably left that house without that scent clinging to them. As you walked in this morning, I had some oils on to make it smell, so that you would notice the smell, so that you would begin to take notice that something was different. And so they would have been. It would have been immensely different. So extravagant, risky love cost us something. It's also fragrant to others, but there's also this. Extravagant, risky love is perplexing to most. When people see it happening, they question why. Why would you do that? Why would you spend all of that money on perfume and then in one fell swoop use it all up? Wouldn't it make more sense just to spray, just to touch on? Just a little bit. Use it judiciously. Sell it and give it to the poor. The disciples mocked her. Judas out and out attacks her. But Jesus comes to her defense. There's a time for risky, extravagant love. And this was it for Mary. She knew that the time was drawing close. She knew that Jesus wouldn't be with them forever. And she said, if not now, when? Sometimes we miss those, don't we? Sometimes we miss the times to share that risky, extravagant love. The young husband who discovers after his wife passes away the negligee that she was waiting to use for a special occasion. When? The boy on a bicycle sees his young brother being accosted by older kids. He doesn't go to his brother's defense, even though he loves his brother, because these are his friends. And after all, what will they think of him? But if not now, when? Husband who opens the jewelry case of his deceased wife and is reminded he'd always wanted to buy her that special watch that she wanted. Never quite got around to it. You see, someday is the enemy of risky love. It's the way for us to put it aside, to push it out. Someday I'll do that. Someday I'll get to that. Someday. But it never comes. I want you to remember this moment right now. I want you to think about what price would you be willing to spend for Jesus' love? What kind of extravagant, risky, chance-taking love would you give to the one who gave his life for you? Mary found her way. Simon found his. Lazarus, I can't even imagine how he showed his, probably jumping up and down for the rest of his life. Again. So when you leave this morning, I have a symbol for you to take home. Something to remind you of this moment. Something to call into question, what exactly would you spend for God's love? Knowing that Jesus has given his love freely to you, knowing that he is willing to die for you, knowing that he went to the cross, knowing that, as our symbol shows on the cross this morning, Mary poured this perfume over Jesus. In extravagance, risk, chance. What would you do? Oh, our first two stories. I don't want to forget those before we leave. We have a war hero. Where did he come from? Who was he? Well, I can tell you this. This war hero became so popular, so much of a hero, that his hometown named their little airport after him. I mean, what else do you name after a Navy pilot, right? But an airport. Fast Eddie. Well, Fast Eddie's love paid off as well. And did become different. He didn't follow in the family business. You see, Fast Eddie's son, Butch, was Butch O'Hare, Navy pilot, whom O'Hare Airport is named after. You know what? We don't name airports after mobsters, do we? You don't see the Capone Memorial Building. But we name them after heroes. We name them after those who are willing to take a risk, willing to show love, willing to take a chance. And Butch O'Hare